Hey, I'm Tyler, and welcome to another episode of my Christian Music Week reviews. Each week I take 5 releases, albums, EPs, or singles, and after listening to them all week, I come back here and I review them. I share what I think about them, so without further ado, let's get to this week's first release. Stephen Curtis Chapman's new single, That's My Dad. Chapman's new single, That's My Dad, is definitely a piano-driven ballad, and as for the lyrics here, as the title suggests, they talk about his dad. Talks about how he loved his family, worked hard, admitted when he wasn't perfect. Really paints a nice picture of his dad here, for sure. Up next, Switchfoot's new EP, Covers. But put out a new EP called Covers, which, as the title suggests, it's a cover. It is where they cover some songs here. So let's talk about here. We have acoustic guitar, electric guitar, bass guitar. Here we have drum, we have bass, we have keyboard here. They also do sprinkle pop elements in some of the more pop songs. I would say sometimes it sounded like maybe they were trying a little hard, but overall sounds pretty good here. And also sometimes too, I would say, is sometimes they may sound like their sound too. Very good sound here on the EP as a whole though. And as for the lyrics here, and overall, I would say the issues that I mentioned beforehand, I would say overall I noticed them less as I listened to it more, and overall do like the CP. And as for the lyrics here, talk about a few different themes. Talk about living for more, and also talks about how we long for something more inside of us. Up next, Jamie Grace's new single, Live About It, Lo-Fi. This new single, Live About It, Lo-Fi, includes bass guitar, bass, piano, and acoustic guitar. She raps in the verses, and then she sings in the chorus. And as for the lyrics here, it calls us to live out Jesus' love to the outcasts. Up next, SEU worships new album, 1,000 Generations. SEU worships major label full-length debut, 1,000 Generations. Features pop worship and pop. I would say, though, one noticeable difference from their EP earlier this year, Eat Into Eternity, which, by the way, I reviewed that EP on this channel. Interestingly enough, too, all but one of the songs on Eat Into Eternity is retained here on the full-length album, 1,000 Generations. But anyhow, I'm getting off track now. One difference I noticed, though, too, is they seem to take on more of a modern worship feel. Maybe that's just because this is live worship, while the EP was in the studio. Maybe that contributes to it a little bit. But it is interesting to notice how they take more of a modern worship direction with this album than they did with the EP, while they still keep some of the elements from the EP on this album, obviously. And as for the lyrics here, talk about a few different themes. Asks God's Spirit to come and have His way with us. Also, to come and move. Also, talks about how Jesus will never let go of us. And talks about how He is always with us. Up next, our last release for today, Cutlass guitarist Nate Parrish's solo debut, I'm a Rack. Guitarist Nate Parrish's new album, I'm a Wreck, is his solo debut, and not to worry, Cutlass is still working on new music. And let's talk about the sound of Nate's soul stuff, though. So overall, a lot of electric guitar and drum here. His voice is kind of rougher, but also we get some other instruments too. A little more scattered throughout the album here. Acoustic guitar, piano. We might get a couple surprising choices here with accordion and saxophone popping in on one. Saxophone pops in on one song, I noticed. At least one song. And as for the lyrics here, a lot of the album talks about being controlled by fear and lies, and talks about even a few potential sources for this. Maybe it's media, maybe it's politicians, maybe it's celebrities. But it does talk a lot about being controlled by fears and lies, and then the last two songs take a little bit more of a hopeful turn, it seems like. Permanence talks about being too stuck in yesterday to move forward. And then the last song, Hope, talks about when we don't have much, we can hope in God. So we come back next week for 5 more releases. If you like what you saw in this video, please subscribe. Also, if you have any thoughts on today's releases, please let me know that in the comments below. Also, if there's anything that came out today that you want me to review, let me know that in the comments below too. Also, check out my playlist section if you want to hear playlists I made based on books. Well, I'm gonna go now. Bye!